Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. I'm Amy. If you're new to my channel, I talk about raw food, fitness, spirituality, and personal development. Today I'm going to talk about mobility. So this is a fitness topic. I haven't talked about fitness for a while, but a client of mine asked me about this, so here's the answer. And mobility, basically I'm going to go into what is it and the benefits of having mobility, good mobility, and what you can do to increase your mobility. So firstly, what is mobility? It can be sometimes confused with flexibility. So it's similar but different to flexibility. Basically, it's the ability to move easily, your ability to move. Flexibility is more how far you can stretch in certain areas. So you can be flexible. A person can be like hyper flexible but be have poor mobility. I have a client like this actually. He's very flexible in most areas, hamstrings and hips and everything, but he's still tight in certain muscles like the calves. Actually, the hips are tight, sorry, but hamstrings are stretched really easily. And this is just an example of how you can be flexible, but still need improvement on your mobility because maybe something is out of alignment. So if, for example, this client of mine has the same issue that I had, tight in the left hip, so that's going to cause an imbalance, and that's going to make certain movements more difficult, basically. So yeah, that's what mobility is. And the benefits of mobility, why do you want to train mobility? Like, it's not a popular thing. Why? One reason, the main reason is why it's not popular in the gym is because it's not glamorous. Like, when I first got into personal training, it wasn't what I wanted to do, really. I was just into strength training mainly and like general fitness because that's what I was used to and that's what most young people my age were doing. But little did I know that I really needed mobility training, which was lucky because I just fell into it because the guy that I was working with, I was attracted to his business and he was a really good mentor and personal trainer, like in what he done. He was the best trainer that I had ever seen. So that's why I wanted to work with him. But I wasn't attracted to the type of training specifically. However, I thought, you know, whatever, I'll learn a lot anyway. So yeah, I did it, and from doing that, I learned a lot about everything, but specifically in terms of mobility, I learned a lot, and I realized a lot about my body, that it was very tight in all over, and it was imbalanced. And so from doing this, I had to let go of my ego, and slowly I stopped the strength training. At the beginning, I tell you, this wasn't easy for me to let go of the strength training. I actually had a big ego in building muscle and wanting to look a certain way and have a certain amount of strength. And because of that, I was still doing the strength training for like maybe a month or 2 months into it completely consistently. And then I sort of started to let go with that a little bit and mix my training with mobility and strength training. And eventually I actually let go of strength training completely and just focused on mobility and other kinds of fitness as well. And now I'm getting a little bit back into strength training as well because I want to build up a bit more muscle. But that's basically my story, and I'm not saying that neither one is good or bad out of any type of training, but they have different purposes, and balance is really important. Like, sometimes you want to go all in on a certain thing. That's okay, but that's just a certain phase in your life, and eventually if you go extreme in one thing, you'll find that will cause an imbalance, so you have to do another thing. Doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You can always be balanced. It's just, it depends on you, your personality, what's best for you at the time. But that's how it happened for me, and mobility saved my life in a way, because otherwise I might have probably been injured. I've never actually had a serious injury, well, really any injury. I've had plenty of bruises. I've fallen over a lot, but I've never really injured myself. I've just been lucky, I guess. But yeah, and because of this, mobility is going to prevent injury big time, now and in the future. like most of the people that I was working with were older, but there were a lot of young people as well that I was working with, younger than me even, like 18, 19, that had mobility issues. And they weren't even aware of these issues. That's the thing, they weren't that interested in changing them. They more just wanted to train because they wanted to look good, they wanted to lose weight. They liked having a trainer, you know, it was fun. But because me as a trainer, as well as being their friend, I tried to help them with improving their mobility, which I was successful to a degree, but you can only help someone so far if they're not really interested in what you're teaching them. So anyway, this is a long-winded response. I guess I just wanted to give you guys some examples, but mobility is really important. Even if you're not interested now, like if you're young, I totally understand where you're coming from. If you're not interested, it doesn't seem appealing, especially if you're doing some kind of like strength training sport, like powerlifting or something. It's not going to be as interesting. But if you're doing any kind of other sport, endurance sports especially, or if you're doing like gymnastics, like now I'm doing gymnastics, so that's why I'm really focused on mobility. I mean, not so much, like I'm not really focused on training that much at the moment anyway, but with the training I'm very specific with what things I do. Compared to the past, I just did whatever. I had more time as well, so that's why I don't spend that much time training now. But yeah, if you improve on your mobility, you're going to prevent your injury. You're going to prevent injury. You're going to look better as well. Like looking good, like isn't just about having a toned, ripped body, and lean body. Like you're going to look bad if you have imbalances in your body. Like for example, an anterior pelvic tilt results in a curve in your back. Basically, I won't go into detail of what that is, but it results in a large curve in your back. So if you see this, quite common in people, that they have their butt sticking out and their belly will be poking out. They may or may not be overweight. If they're overweight, their belly will be more obvious. But if they're like normal or even underweight, for example, I had this, not to the extreme, but I had it. My belly was sticking out, but I was quite skinny. And it wasn't until I worked on strengthening my butt and strengthening my core that I had a flat stomach and everything came into an alignment. Also, diet helped with that as well because my digestion was bad as well, so that caused in like bloating and stuff. But you want to look at that as well. If that's a separate issue, I'm not going to talk about it here. But yeah, you're going to look so much better if everything is in alignment. Like if you just train your upper body or lower body because you want to look a certain way, like it's okay if you train one more than the other a little bit if you want to focus on a specific muscle, but be conscious when you're doing that rather than just like I see a lot of guys in the gym, not picking on men, but they just want to look big shoulders, big chests, and because of that they don't train their legs at all and it looks silly, it looks out of proportion. You got these chicken legs and you got this big chest. It's not appealing. Girls don't like that. Like I don't like that. I don't know any girls who do like that. Maybe some do, I don't know, but if they do, they're not going to be very good quality, high value women. But yeah, so like think about what you're training. There's no right or wrong, but just think about it, be aware of what you're doing. And that's why mobility is important, is because also it's going to make you feel better. Like you're not going to have any pain. Like I used to have a lot of pain, which I wasn't actually aware of because I was so used to it from the training. Like if you train all the time, like even if you have days off, but you train most days, you don't really fully recover, so you don't actually realize that you're in pain. And yeah, so that's what happened to me. And then when I did some more mobility, when I started doing the mobility training, I realized that I was actually in pain, and I was just like, why is this so hard? Like I thought I was so fit, I thought I was so strong, I'm doing so well at this other stuff, but I kind of suck at this stuff. So yeah, I really had to work on some stuff, but from that, now I feel so much better. I don't really have any pains in my body at all. and my body is much more in alignment, so it looks better. I don't train much to get it to look good, it just looks good. And I'm a lot fitter, like I can run for long distances without getting tired for ages. And yeah, like that's why I want to have good mobility. And lastly, if you want to do any kind of sport or just do certain cool movements, like you want to do a pistol squat or you want to do a handstand, you need good mobility for that. So it's really good to have mobility. Like it's gonna like be so much easier to enjoy life when you have good mobility. Like most of the older people that I worked with, like they couldn't do simple things, like some walking even was hard for them. But other things they wanted to do, they couldn't do, and it just made life so much harder. So you don't want that. Like you may not be in that position now. If you are, you definitely want to work on your mobility. But if you're not, just incorporate a bit of mobility type training into your routine. Don't have to focus on it, but just do a little bit. Make sure you're stretching after and you do a proper warm-up every time you work out, because if you don't, it's going to result in pain, muscle tightness, and then certain muscles are going to, like if certain muscle is tight and you do some kind of movement, you're not able to decelerate very easily, and that's what causes the injury. So what you need to do is make sure you stretch and warm up and do certain exercises as well that are specifically focused on mobility. If you have something specific you want to improve on because you want to get rid of an imbalance, or if you want to improve on a certain mobility for a specific performance reason. Like you may not need to have an issue, but you just want to improve on it. Mobility is going to like help you so much. So that's all I'm going to say in this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe. If you want to hear more videos like this, I do videos on other topics too. Today I just felt like doing fitness. But yeah, that's it. Have a great day. I will see you guys next time.